Tonight, on the Rosenrood Report Word Factor Hour, we ask ourselves the question, how did this show get its name? Is it American enough? Stay tuned. Let's play the lottery. Roger Ailes is dead. Died at the age of 77 just a couple days ago. People are already starting to dance on his grave or try to build shrines to him, and I personally feel neither sadness nor joy, but I know that if you want to bury somebody, you really want to get them, you celebrate them or condemn them, you have to dig up their life. You have to be willing to reconcile or reckon with the fact that they were on this earth and what they did on this earth. And Roger Ailes is not somebody that history will not have an opinion on. Historians will be very opinionated about his effect on this country and in the way that Americans consume news. And that effect and his dark side are intimately related. Roger Ailes perfected the news commentary program. It doesn't matter whether you watch Fox, MSNBC, CNN. If you watched any cable news program in the past 20 years, Roger Ailes affected how you saw that program. Even this commentary that I'm giving you right now is just by virtue of the fact that I've seen so many of his shows affected by that imprint. If you watch Chris Matthews, well, he made Chris Matthews. He was the first person to give him a job on the airwaves. He kind of mentored Rachel Maddow a bit. She asked him some questions and gave him advice for 7 years when she started at MSNBC. He made Bill O'Reilly. I'm not even going to talk about what he did for Bill O'Reilly, but without Bill O'Reilly, there's no Colbert Report, and probably no Stephen Colbert as a major media personality without, being able to reference the sort of world that Ailes built. When it came to putting a talking head in front of your face and making you want to listen to that person, nobody was better than Roger Ailes. Nobody ever will be better than Roger Ailes. He also built Fox News specifically, and that segmented the news. See, Roger Ailes was the first person to prove that you can take an audience and you tell this audience, all right, we're going to give you the facts, and then no matter what those facts are, we are going to root for you. We are going to tell you how you can look at these facts and be optimistic. And he proved that if you do that, you will keep that audience through thick and thin. As long as you stick to them, they will stick to you. And by doing that, he thought that was the goal. Get the highest ratings. And it might change the country. It might make it hard to engage in discourse. It might have all sorts of negative consequences, but Roger Ailes didn't care. It wasn't in his personality to care. He had a goal and he met it. To explain that, I have to explain his dark side. Part of his dark side was that he's a man of goals and not outcomes. Somebody who cares about outcomes, they understand a phrase like to lose the battle but win the war. Ailes didn't care for that phrase, at least not in his actions. He cared about goals. If you gave him a magic lamp and told him to make a wish, he would not be the guy who is, racking himself with doubt over what his wish should be. He would say, I'm going to ask for $1 million, and if it falls on me and kills me, I'll have $1 million. Nobody really knows why he got to be this way. There is a story about Roger Ailes having a tough childhood where his father, abusive man, comes home and he sees little Roger up there in the bunk bed, and he says, "Hey, Sonny, why don't you jump into my arms?" And Roger says, "Okay, Dad, I will." And he jumps, and the father steps back, and Roger hits the ground, and he hurts himself. And Roger Ailes' father looks at him, and he says, "See, son, that's why you shouldn't trust people." Is that why he became the way he is? I don't know, but what I can tell you for sure is that he didn't see people the way you or I would see people, and this is one of the reasons why he was able to do what he was able to do. He saw people as objects. Women in particular he saw as objects. He thought that any human was for sale, basically. Any woman was something that he could purchase to do his bidding, sexual or otherwise. And he thought that all of his actions forcing himself on women had costs, but he didn't see them as having consequences. They had a cost, and there's a difference. For Roger Ailes, destroying a woman's dignity was something that had a financial value that he could measure against his Nielsen ratings. So what's the relationship between that and his ability to do what he did? Well, I think you can answer that by looking at the story of The Five and how The Five started. The Five was a TV show that he made to replace Glenn Beck. And he wanted a panel, and he got 5 people, and he got them together and said, "All right, it's called The Five. It's on at 5. There's 5 of you. Do you know why it's called The Five?" And they say, "Well, is it because there's 5 of us?" "No." "Is it because it's on at 5?" "No." It's called 5 because there's 5 types. Each one of you represent one of those 5 types. And if you screw up, I can replace you in a heartbeat. That's Roger Ailes. That was the thinking that led him to be able to build the media empire that he did, that let him be able to take anybody, well, not anybody, but many people, and put them in front of a TV and have people watch them. And those words he said were, "You are replaceable." That was his dark side. That's the dark side that birthed this style of monologue that I'm doing right now. That's the dark side that gave Americans a way to turn into whatever narrative they wanted to hear. That's the dark side that taught people that any voice is replaceable. But in so doing, that dark side also taught that every voice can be a voice worth listening to. Good night, Roger.